I need this. My daughter gave me this. Smells like a Cowboys win. A win smells a lot better than Cowboys ass, which is what we've been smelling all season long. What's up, good people? Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. I hope everybody's having a great day. It's been a really nice day for me today. I haven't been able to. I haven't been beaten down too much by Eagle fans, and maybe it's because I've been away from my computer and stuff. But I just got finished meeting Susan and Jason. Susan got in touch with me a couple of months ago and was saying my husband is a diehard Cowboy fan and a fan of yours, and I would love for him to meet you. And I've been trying to get it together and stuff for a while, but it's been crazy. It's been crazy with me being in Waynesboro at the Red Brick House and things like that. But met them tonight, and it was great. I am so blessed to have you guys, and I have met so many people who follow the channel that it humbles me to have all these people and things that watch me. And he was like, I met a celebrity. I was like, who? He's like, you. It's like, no, I'm just Joe the fan that talks too damn much, as my wife says. So I appreciate the support and everything else. Interesting thing. I think about a lot of things. And I was thinking about something that Vash Lombardi was saying. Okay, now, I met Vash for the first time when the Cowboys had the draft in Dallas. And I knew right then and there he was going to be a star. And I've had Vash here in Joe Boo's Man Cave. And talk about somebody who loves, God, what is it? What is this? Mumbo sauce, which is, a DC thing. Man, he literally could drink a gallon of Mambo sauce. And it's kind of like a barbecue sauce, very, very sweet. But he loves some Mambo sauce. Oh, my God. So I bet you if I said, hey, Vash, I got a couple of gallons of Mambo sauce and some Joe Boo wings, I bet you he'd show up right here.
Are you sure the Cowboys let him off?
Oh, well, yeah, well, right. Although he is kind of busy with the draft show and things right now. But Vash's thing every year is drafting offensive linemen. He's like, you got to get the offensive line together because, of course, he was an offensive lineman. Okay, it's kind of like me. In college, I was a defensive lineman. So I'm always talking about you need a one technique guy and so on. So you gravitate to what you may have been before. And, that's expected. And so he was in a Twitter battle with somebody about offensive line, and they were basically saying, I'm going to be really disappointed if we take an offensive lineman with the 12th pick. And he was going through, and Vosh was like, your right tackle, Terrence Steele, was undrafted. Your replacement for Zack Martin, Brock Hoffman, undrafted. Tyler Smith, lights out. Okay. Your left tackle, Tyler Guyton, didn't show much, and your center was a third-round draft pick that showed more than your first-round draft pick. His whole thing always is offensive line. And one of the things here, and I think I talked about it a little bit this morning, one of the things I always hated was I hated that Tyron Smith had to go to the Jets. I hated that Tony Dorsett had to go to Denver. And ends up being that you go through, and Emmitt Smith to the Cardinals. Now, I can't say DeMarcus Ware going to Denver. Well, that was good for him because he got a ring. But there's something wrong with when you've had stalwart players, cornerstone, foundational players, that just have to go someplace else to get another check, that you just hate to see that. And we've got Zack Martin, who nobody knows if he's going to retire. In fact, he is still basically saying, I'm going to let my ankle heal and go from there. But it seems like he is, if his foot heals, more inclined to want to come back because of what the Cowboys are looking at doing. Running the football more. and it's bringing excitement. And see, this is what I've kind of said. Okay, I was an offensive guard in high school, offensive guard. So I've got both sides of the equation, and I'm going to say being on the offensive line is more cerebral. Okay, there's a lot more going on when you've got the center who comes up to the line and things. They're looking at how the defense is lining up. He's calling out the protection. You got the quarterback, of course, who, you got to remember what it's on. It's on 3, okay? Not on 2, so don't jump off sides. And then you got your tackle, like our tackles could go ahead and change the hole. He would say, crack it. James Franklin, you remember, crack it, okay? So that means now the hole's going to the next one, okay? And then, of course, you got to look and see where the linebackers, where the center of the line is. So you got all these things that are going on. And, the quarterback, he can change the play. He can change it from a run to a pass. And so you got to be listening. You got to remember what the snap count is. You've got to remember all these things. And if it's a run, you like that. You like that because you are putting more weight on your hand. Your knuckles are turned white because you got a lot of weight on it, because you're looking at basically being like a bulldozer. You're going to go in there and you're going to kick up some, get the mud flaps on. You're going to kick up some dirt or some tires, the ground up tires on there. And you're going to be pushing people out the hole. Or you're going off, you're pulling around trying to get the linebackers and things. Or you're double teaming. Oh, you love to double team, man. Because that nose guard, he's going to be engaged in the center. You hitting him right in the hip and blowing him right out the hole there. Yeah. It's not much fun, though, when you're on the other side of that. I've been on both sides. It's fun when you get, I'm cleaning him up, man. He stood him up. I'm cleaning him out the hole. It's hell when you're on the other side of that. I'm going to let you know. For all you offensive linemen out there, the shit that you do to us nose tackles, it ain't right. But that's a lot easier. That's a lot easier for the offensive lineman to run block than the pass block. Because pass block is, you're not aggressive. You're basically taking a step back, standing up, and you're waiting for that defensive lineman to engage you, in which case you got to kind of fight him off you, keep his hands from getting in there tight, and be able to keep your center of balance there and everything else. He's going to try and bull rush you, so you got to be prepared to get up under his pads, lower than him. Or he's going to go ahead and try and swim move on you, He's going to go through, get his hand up in you, and then try and right there. He's going to jab step, which means he's going to step one way, trying to get you to go with him, and then he's going to go the other way, dip the shoulder. He's going to dip and rip, where he's just literally going to punch you. He is dipping his shoulder, and he is hitting your arms off of him. So that way you can't get him. And for Zack Martin, where we've been with Mike McCarthy, very pass heavy since Zeke Elliott got hurt. Very pass heavy. But getting closer to balance, I've said this a couple of times. When you, and this is where I like what Schottenheimer said, that they want to be able to do multiple plays out of one look. Because then if you can do that, if you can have the same look that looks like it's a power sweep, that's also going deep, the defense doesn't know what kind of defense I need to be in, what to expect. Because then you can set them up. You can lull them to sleep and say, oh, we're doing power sweep, power sweep, power sweep. All of a sudden, bam, we go deep when they're not expecting it. You're not predictable. And for the offensive lineman, yeah, they'd rather run block than pass block. And I will say that if we are more balanced, it may keep Terrence Steele on this roster. Now, should the Cowboys draft an offensive lineman here in the first round? That's a good question. But we've got to have a better offensive line than what we had. Now, we got a good offensive line coach that hopefully will get us better run blocking schemes that'll be able to teach them better blocking technique. And that may make a difference. I can't remember the name, but we had got an offensive line coach, I want to say from Cincinnati years ago. And we had gotten rid of, or we brought in, a former tackle of ours. And I cannot I'm getting old and dementia. But the difference, it was Paul something, was the offensive line coach that we brought from Cincinnati. Because that was the same time that we had brought in Sanjay Lau. He was a wide receivers coach. The guy who had him walking around carrying bricks after practice. And it seemed like their hands were like bricks when they were trying to catch passes. But both of those two coaches were failures for the Cowboys. They didn't last very long. And, God, what was his name? Colombo. Marco Colombo. Marco Colombo was a really good offensive line coach. Thank you. I'm glad I remember that. He took over, I think, because it was one of those things that he screwed up like Tyron Smith, that we were just completely lost. And then they brought back Marco Colombo, and he straightened it back out. And that's where coaching matters. I think if we're more run balanced and scheme better, where we're using more pre-snap motion and such, that will be better as far as blocking. You still may need to get that offensive lineman. You still may need to. But I also think that you need to get a playmaker too, a wide receiver or a running back that's going to be lights out. That'll be a game changer. I don't think that Brandon Cooks is going to be the answer for next year. I think he's getting long in the tooth. And I don't think Jalen Tolbert's ready to be that guy. You need somebody else. So Zack Martin, he might not be done just yet. Maybe not. We'll have to wait and see. Alrighty, good people. I appreciate you. And I'll see you soon.